Hello, is there treatment for irregular period? And can a person with irregular periods get pregnant? Let me answer the last question first. Yes, a person with irregular periods can get pregnant. So do not stay away from contraception and go live on sex without recognizing the risk that you could get pregnant. So yes, I have answered that question. A person with irregular periods can get pregnant because that means on some cycles you are ovulating, on other cycles you may not be ovulating. Now, let me go to answering, is there a treatment for irregular periods? I think you will answer that question yourself after listening to this video, after watching this video, so that you know whether we can treat you, whether we can help you. Of course, the answer is yes. But let's talk about irregular periods. In order for us to understand what an irregular period is, first we need to understand what a regular period is. Okay? First, the first day of your period is the first day of the new cycle. And the day before your next period is the last day of that particular cycle. So if a woman started bleeding today, the 3rd of July, and today would be her first day of the cycle. If she bleeds again, gets her menses again on 2nd of August, then the last day of her cycle, this particular cycle we are talking about, would be the 1st of August. Now, how long should that be? How many days should a cycle take for us to regard it as normal? Okay? Number one, the cycle should go between 24 days to 38 days. It's a huge gap. Okay? So, 24 days. If your cycle is 24 days, you have a normal cycle. If your cycle is 30 days, you have a normal cycle. If your cycle is 38 days, you have a normal cycle. I hope you understand that. Let's go to the difference between the short and long cycles. We all know that sometimes the dates change. Some cycles are shorter than the others. Okay? I'll make a video about understanding the menstrual cycle, but now we're talking about irregular period. If your short period, say for example, is 25 days, but your longer period is, your longer cycle is 30 days, the difference between the two is 5 days, then that is also normal. You are having a regular period or a regular cycle. Okay? So, a difference of up to 7 days from the longest cycle to the shortest cycle is acceptable as normal. Which means if your longest cycle is 8 days greater than the shortest cycle, 8 days greater or more, then you are having irregular periods. Now let's talk about the length of days a woman bleeds. Some women bleed only 1 day. Some women bleed only 2 days. Others bleed 10 days. Let's know what is normal. What is normal is bleeding between 2 days to 8 days. 2 days to 8 days. Anywhere. If you bleed an average of 4 to 5 days. But if you bleed for 6 days, you are normal. If you bleed for 2 days, you are normal. If you bleed for 1 day, okay, you are abnormal. You are having irregular bleeding, irregular period. If you bleed for 9 or more days, okay, then you are also having prolonged bleeding, prolonged menstruation. Okay, now coming to the volume of flow. How much blood does a woman have to lose during her period for her to be normal? The normal is any volume between 15 mils to 80 mils. 15 mils to 80 mils. Do you know how small that is? Get a jerry can of water, measure 80 mils and put it in a sponge. You will see how small that is. It's not so big. Okay, so you could change 1 pad or 2 pads a day and it's normal. Those 80 mils, by the way, can be bled over a length of 7 days and it would be normal. If you bleed more than 80 mils, then we regard you as having heavy menstrual bleeding. A disclaimer about this is, a woman can also say she has heavy menstrual bleeding even when she's within the 80 mils, because maybe previously in her previous cycles she was changing a pad once a day. Now she's changing 3 times a day. Although she's bleeding for 2 days, but she's changing 3 times a day. Okay? If so a woman has a right to say, doctor, I think I'm bleeding more heavily than I used to. So this is a comparative term. All right? Now we've understood length of a cycle, difference between cycles. We've also understood how long a woman should take in her period, okay, and how much she should bleed. Now let's look at what is irregular. If you bleed more, your cycle takes longer than 38 days, that's 39 days and above, you are having, okay, you are having longer cycles. And if you bleed within maybe 23 days or below, okay, you are having short cycles. And then there are people whose period comes when they expect it, but they get bleeding in between their period, in between their cycle. 1 week passes after your periods have cleared and you bleed again. That's called intermenstrual bleeding. All right? There are several causes for each of these, and the causes are really many, and they differ from one person to another. You're going to visit a doctor and they will tell you have hormonal imbalance. I think we should start explaining to people what does hormonal imbalance entail. Sometimes it's not just a hormone. Sometimes it is your uterus having masses. Sometimes it is your uterus having abnormalities, okay? Or your cervix having issues. Now, you would need a full assessment with full history, okay? It's preferable that you get a bit of record. It's hard for me to decipher how irregular your period is if you actually do not know how disorganized it is. It would be good for you to give me a record. So for example, I bled on 3rd this month, but this month hadn't ended and I bled again on 25th. Then the other month I had my period on 16th, which gives me a bit of time to look through your days and see how irregular your period is, which gives a clue to what might be causing your irregular period. Okay? Now, each person with their own irregularity in period has different treatment. So yes, irregular periods can be treated, but there is no one solution fits it all. Each person has different treatment, and yes, even when you have irregular cycles or irregular periods, you can very much get pregnant. So don't say I didn't warn you. Please protect yourself against pregnancy if you are not in the mood to have a baby. All right? Right, that marks the end of our video for today. Don't forget to follow The Good Guy and subscribe. I have a YouTube channel where these videos and longer videos are uploaded. It's also called The Good Guy. You subscribe to the channel for more videos like this and keep the questions coming. Bye-bye.